together, finally,
Yeah,
the Full Valley crew, and we are so separated right now. It's crazy. Craig, what time is it where you're at in Spain?
7:55 in the AM.
Aaron, what time is it where you're at?
1 p.m. in the afternoon in Thailand near Bangkok.
And it's 10:55 here in Las Vegas. We are now covering the world.
Yeah, we're like almost a day apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lack of the lag is almost not even there. That's pretty amazing. It amazes me.
So,
What was that old app that we first started using that had that lag in the 90s? You would speak and you'd wait on the next person.
I don't know.
so here we all are in different parts of the world to reminisce on some really crazy times that we had back in the day. Who wants to open it up?
Well, I was invited to stay at Eagle Cliff in Mill Valley before Craig came. So Craig came on like a year after me, I believe. Did you actually stay at Eagle Cliff, Craig?
Yeah, I was just thinking, looking at my background there, which is the first layer of a painting of mine, of remembering the painting that you did on the ceiling at Eagle
It
Cliff.
was horrible. Absolutely fucking horrible. I thought it was. Well, CL moved in and I actually got hired to paint over it. No, I painted over it before she moved in.
Well, maybe for you it was you didn't like the painting, but I think you maybe did it when you were under the influence of something. Because when I used to lie on that floor under the influence of something, that thing was moving and it was so amazing.
That's the thing. See, yeah. We had done some bad acid. It was some Black Pyramid gold top. And I found out later it was CIA acid. Anyway, that thing really fucked me up. I literally went schizophrenic for like 5 months, and that's when I made the painting. I was literally like half here, half somewhere else. It was
I
weird.
mean, that might explain the effect.
They could, because it was moving for me too, and that scared the shit out of me. I had to get out of there. But that's right when that Indian guy moved up there to help try to plan some concert and then racked up like a $300 phone bill or something. What was his name?
What, at
Eagle
John's
some.
place?
Yes.
Yeah, this guy from Eagle Cliff. I thought it was your friend, Aaron.
No, we met him together. It's just some guy we met down the square. Some Indian guy, a Native American guy. He
This
was
is
a
before
major
I was there.
scam artist, though, and I think he was definitely bad juju. Anyway, we had lots of good times. That is for sure. We went on lots of adventures, did lots of raves.
Did you ever go to like festivals with John in the year before I was there, like Burning
Oh,
Man or
I didn't do a Burning Man. I did one in '91 at Baker's Beach, but I didn't do any till like 2001. But we did some rainbow gatherings. We did
right?
Narnia.
Was
We did.
do you remember, Aaron? There was this festival in Arizona. This
I
was
did not go.
right after the Rainbow Gathering. You and I were there. You were there.
I didn't go to that one. We've talked about this many times. I didn't go to that one.
I went to that one. And then I drove from there to Burning Man.
No, I didn't go.
Burning Man started just there. But that was back when Burning Man was really, really like raw and totally like there was no security there. I got out there about 2 days before it was supposed to start, and there was nobody out there. And all of a sudden I ran across this guy in this art car, this Volkswagen with a lot of mailboxes and stuff attached to it. It was crazy art car. And I said, "Where's Burning Man?" And we stopped and talked a little bit. And he said, "You see that little blue dot way, way out there in the distance?" I said, "Yeah, that's Burning Man." I said, "So, do you want to park here or walk there?" And I said, "You don't want to walk there." And realized how far it was. We drove and we drove and we drove. Finally, 45 minutes later, we were pulling up and we could just now see the outline of the man,
Wow.
on and everything like that.
Is
And
this the first Burning Man you
that
were
was
at?
my first burn, yeah.
And what year was that then?
That must have been
I went with you in 96 or 95. Shit.
I was that must have been 94, 93,
96.
94.
No, 90. No, no, it wasn't that because our first rainbow gathering was '94, and that was in the Grand Tetons in Wyoming.
So then it must have been
The
95.
Arizona Burning Man was, I think, '96, '97.
Yeah. So as we were driving out there, there was maybe several hundred people out there at the time. It was really late at night. I found myself at kind of isolated spot, not knowing where I really wanted to camp anything. I just pulled in, figured out where east was because I wanted to make sure that I would get the right effective sunrise, and laid on the desert floor and just went to sleep.
You
Around
still got a little Toyota?
Yeah, I was in my Toyota actually. Yeah.
The blue one.
Yeah, we drove around, then people started coming. I just pitched my tent anywhere and I put a little blinking red light on the top of my tent on my top of my thing. Or it was a blue light, I think it was a blue light. So I could find myself back at nighttime and find my tent. Because it was impossible to find anything back in those days. There was no street names, and Burning Man later on they had the streets around a clock, you know what I mean? Like they had
Sure.
concentric circles, you know what I mean? The inner
Yeah.
circle was like at the time mine was when I went there it was like the planets. So the inner circle was like Mercury, and then there was Venus, and then the Earth, and then Mars.
Yeah,
And
every year they
I
have a
was
different thing.
I was at 930 Mars was where I was located at, and it was
It's
around
crazy
the
you can
clock.
remember that.
Yeah, how could
I
I
couldn't
forget?
tell you the address of any time I've been at Burning Man. I can't remember that now.
Well, it was a
Yeah,
very logical way
location.
of locating people after they came up with this
Oh, I
concept.
know it was a good way of finding people, but I just can't remember what.
Every year they change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Year
last
after
time I
that,
was there,
year after that, it was the body. It starts at 2 p.m., goes all the way around the clock until 10 p.m. And from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., that was called Deep Playa. That's where they had all the drone shows at. That was amazing, the drone show. The last time I was there, they had a big drone show.
What was the last year you were there?
That was the last year I was there.
last year.
Last year.
Oh, this was in 2019. It was the year before COVID.
Okay. Wow. That's only 5 years ago. I haven't been since 2011.
And like everything at Burning Man, it's all just out in the desert. You bring everything with you and you take everything away when you leave.
It seems to have, I see a lot of bad press about Burning Man now on Facebook. It's people
Well,
are really
last year was a
disappointed with it
real,
now.
it was a really, it was really a zoo last year. It was horrible.
Well, they had flooding,
Yeah,
right?
it was horrible.
Yeah.
Flooding, everything got flooded out. It was
That
crazy.
does not look fun.
No,
that-
it did not look like fun. It was a mud fest forever. It was a huge ass mud fest.
I
Yeah,
was
people
there
were
when they
stuck there
had
for
little
weeks.
rain. It was nasty, just from a little bit of rain. I
On
couldn't imagine the proper flood.
2019, I was fairly healthy. I was pretty thin. I still had some serious back issues. Didn't do a lot of dancing. I did some. And I stayed at the mobility camp. So it was right across from, it was right there in center camp, right there, smack dab in center camp, where the cafeteria was. I could walk to the cafe, well, walk to the cafe tent, that big tent where the cafe is.
So
I
the
stayed
only
there.
thing they used to sell at Burning Man was coffee and ice.
Yeah, they still serve coffee and ice. They've got the Arctic for the ice.
They just keep driving it out, driving it in, just truckload after truckload.
After truckload after truckload. Yep.
Crazy.
I thought if I ever went back, I'd want to bring a couple camels with me. That'd be fun.
That's a pretty
If I
good
ever
idea.
go back, it would have to be in an RV with a wheelchair ramp.
I understand why you would do that, but the people that go in there who are totally could be able to be normal there, but they go in and live in an RV, and that's not really Burning Man, If
Yeah.
you're able to camp and you're in an
They have
RV,
a special camp for the real rich people. I
yeah,
forget what they called it. Do you remember what they called it? You had to pay $30,000.
What?
Yeah, that's what they charge. $30,000 for the camp, and you're given an RV. You're served 3 meals a day, bourgeois, super duper security, and your ticket, of course, is complimentary.
yeah, I would hope so.
Jeez.
And
Probably near the
really,
airport.
really
now.
filthy rich, and there's quite a few people there that were like filthy rich that did that camp. One of the most
Probably.
enlightening events that I saw at one of the burns was they had a piano, and they had this huge ass trebuchet, and they set the piano on fire, and they shot the piano 600 feet in the air. As it was sailing through the air on fire, you could hear this groaning notes it was playing as the wind was
Wow.
blowing by the thing. It was the eeriest thing I could ever imagine.
I mean, that's Burning Man is. I every year I do kind of wish I was there, mainly nowadays just for the
I
art,
have a
just
whole
to
lot of
look at the
videos
amazing
on
things
Burning
people
Man.
build.
Let's go back to Mill Valley for a little bit here.
Yeah, we just kind of skipped away from the 90s too fast there, didn't we?
Did you know that the mill is closed down? I do know that much. They closed the mill down, some like little shopping zone now. It's weird.
We were talking about the coffee mill.
The wood mill down there, like that was right near the
Like in the
square.
middle, on that middle bit as you
Yeah.
were leaving.
Right there,
Yeah.
on the square, right?
What year did they close that?
I don't know.
Okay,
All I
yeah.
remember going in that mill for was like the odd thing, like going in and they had like a little tool shop, and I would maybe I've got something in there, but it felt like I mean, even though Mill Valley has that was the history of Mill Valley, it was kind of it was more just like an
Remember
elite
that guy we
place
met?
to live. By the
Remember
time we lived there, wasn't it?
his name is James, is a Vietnam vet.
I remember James. His father or uncle was Perry Mason or something on TV.
Okay.
A lot of people in Mill Valley that hang out there come from the entertainment industry and also come from being authors and musicians and book writers.
Well, did you know that Tupac Shakur went to high school there just before I was there? In fact, the number one rapper here in Thailand also went to high school
You know,
there.
my roommate was Stevie Hicks.
Dan Hicks.
Dan
in the
Hicks,
hot-
Licks.
He
I
never said
remember Dan Hicks. Is he famous?
Yeah.
he was kind of famous. Like back in the 60s, he had a band called the Charlatans. That's why the Charlatans UK had to become Charlatans UK because
Okay. I remember him. I didn't think he was ever someone famous. He just seemed like a normal guy.
he was a musician. Didn't do much when we were there.
Yeah, and that girl that lived up in the crow's nest, what's her name?
Oh man.
Dawn.
Dawn.
Dawn, that's right, Dawn.
Dawn was really big into those Dungeons and Dragons games online, but it was all text.
In the
back then.
early days of that, yeah.
Yeah, he was
She just
way
went up
into
the next tower and did that.
She always had weed. We'd go
Yeah.
up there.
Coffee and weed and games. Yeah.
Remember Lusco?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Aaron ever had a run-in with Luscombe, but he didn't like me and John.
Oh no, I did. I did. I had that shitty '62 Volvo. He was constantly pulling us over. Just
Oh, I remember that
whatever.
Volvo. That was a
Yeah.
cool looking car. It might have been trouble to drive, but it was cool looking.
Yeah. Well, Karen painted it like amazing. It was just like this cloudy.
Greg, tell us the
Really-
story. What happened to Luscombe when he went to the square and was strip searching one of the kids that were playing hacky sack on the square, and he basically had his he had his hand pricked with a needle.
I don't know if that was true or just an urban myth because everybody hated him and what they wanted that to happen to him, but I heard that too, yeah.
And Luscombe grabbed me and pulled me in his car and handcuffed me and quizzed me for a little while, and then he let me go right in front of Mohammed's drugstore.
Yeah,
You know
I think
what did?
he may have given me a ticket for sleeping in the car once.
The
It's
mayor of Mill Valley was very, very like open, and so I got her phone number and I called her up and I dumped on her about Luscombe and his little antics. That was pretty cool.
Oh, I don't know. I just remember all the stairs. Those were fun. There's always 100 ways to get to places. And
Climbing these stairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't Dipsy Run started from Mill Valley, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of
Yeah,
ways
it's
to get up.
on the way to where I lived, on the way to Eagle Cliff. Only it branches off. One branches off to Eagle Cliff, the other one goes up, branches up, and goes towards Tiburon or Mill Valley. I mean, what's it?
Yeah, you either go to Mirror Beach or to Stinson Beach.
Stinson Beach. That's it. Yeah, Stinson Beach.
But this is back before marijuana was legal, and that was one of our main reasons for going downtown. Usually, was to try to score weed off of the locals.
And go and
do you remember
hide in the trees and smoke
You
it.
remember Three Wells?
Of course,
And of course, that guy from Thailand, what was his name? Sam.
he was from Saudi Arabia or
From
something.
Thailand?
He wasn't from Thailand.
He went to Thailand in the wintertime.
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam. The guy that
I might be speaking to him today, actually. He's in Tucson, Arizona, and I just got sent the number that he's going to be at. Yesterday, someone sent me the number and said, call Sam on this number if you want to speak to him.
Do me
And
a
I didn't get the message in time.
Give him
So
my number and ask him to call me. I definitely want to have a little conversation, that's for sure.
Does he still live in his car?
Yeah, what guy didn't he have a
he's got a really souped up car now.
BMW, didn't he, with the seat removed?
Yeah, I bought his old car and he got a new
did.
car and spent like 20 grand doing it up. And he still drives back and forth from Tucson to Mill Valley, or like, I don't know how much he hangs out in Mill
Remember that
Valley, but he
douchebag
definitely
we
still
met
goes back to Marin.
at Pete's Coffee?
Or the roastery, you mean?
Which one?
Pete's Coffee.
Yeah, which douchebag?
I didn't know there was more than one.
Well, who are you talking about?
I don't know. He used to hang out at Pete's Coffee, and we were going to do some business with him.
When was the last time you were in Mill Valley, Aaron?
I did go back there once in about 2001. That's probably the last time.
I went back there in 2008 and then again in 2011, just before we left the States. I was in Mill Valley for one night. It's not the same. It's not got the same energy, or it's not cool, and it's not got the weird mixture of people. It's just people with dogs, people with money, and guys with fancy bike clothes. That's like
Well, the internet
young
boom
people.
happened, so everyone got rich, and that was the best place to live. So I imagine that's the way it went.
I remember in San Francisco in the late 90s when the kind of dot-com boom was happening. Do you remember the CCC people on Howard Street in San Francisco? The owner of that building tripled their rent in the dot-com boom, and so they had to move out. And I think that was happening all over the place at that time as people thought, oh, the dot-com boom, I'm going to get more rent. And so, you know, a lot of people moved back to their home states or whatever. I think a lot of people left the Bay Area in the late 90s for
I
that
can
reason.
remember going down like Market Street in San Francisco, you know, with my laptop, and I see all these Wi-Fi hotspots, and they're all open, and none of them were locked in. There was
Oh,
one.
back in the day where they were all unlocked. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And then one time I went by a because, you know, as you know, San Francisco used to be called Multimedia Gulf. A lot of the multimedia companies were out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I was walking by this company, and there was a little park bench right there, and I sat with my laptop and I got into their Wi-Fi, and all of their files were I went in their file system and stuff like that. I could see all the source code they were working on, and I mean that was back when Wi-Fi was really new and internet was just then starting. I mean, when I came back from Australia, when I came back, the first thing I did was I set up a website called well.com/crunch.
This pre-web crunchers.
Pre-web crunchers, yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
doing a website for this chiropractor. Do you remember that, John?
Oh,
That.
alpha something.
And it was, you know, like one image was like load line by line like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost pointless having a website.
It was dial-up, man, and we had I think as I remember, we only had like it wasn't even it was like 300 baud. It wasn't even 1200. And then later on, I moved to 1200 baud, and I thought, gee, that was pretty fast. And then they came out with 2400 baud, and then finally 9600 baud was about the fastest you could go on a modem.
I think it was
At
when I
that
met you,
time,
it was
cable modem
9600.
started coming out. I got introduced to cable modem when I was in Florida, but they had an interesting system. The way that worked is I would dial up a number on the phone and it would connect to their ISP. And the download was really, really fast because it was being put over the TV circuit network. But the
Wow.
upload, they didn't have an upload link at all at that time. Cable modems were just now starting to come out, and uploading data was very, very slow.
It was back when it was illegal to have commerce on the internet. Remember that? I mean, oh my God.
Yeah,
Pre
when I was in
e-commerce.
Yeah,
India,
from the beginning, you could not do any kind of business on there at all. That was a
you're
big,
banned from doing commerce there. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that wild? Like most of the internet is commerce now. Like
I,
it's almost all commerce.
I know. Yeah, that was when it was pure and
In
privacy
India,
was important.
I did a website from Bud Basics. I did another website over at Whispering Pines Resort. Did another website and I met this guy Gerson. He was Sambit's friend because I got over there through Sambit.
Oh, I remember some of it.
Yeah, I remember him.
Filthy rich guy too. His parents is like making bank on their chemical dye company.
Yeah, they probably had a lot of slaves. Anyway.
Sambit wanted to take me to Goa. He has got this very nice modern car, and he refuses to drive it to Goa. He says, well, we have to take a train to go to Goa, or we have to take a bus to go to Goa. Well, that was a long ass bus ride. And then we took another bus ride to New Delhi. That's where I did another website from New Delhi, and it was a pizza website. And he had a big old pizza thing on the screen, right? Over on the left, you had all the little condiments. You drag and drop the condiment onto the pizza.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you press the
Definitely
button
ahead of
to
your
order the
time.
pizza.
I mean, for
That was in that
that
was in
time,
New
that was
Delhi.
pretty ahead of its time, I think.
When I was there, a big earthquake hit New Delhi too.
Oh, have you guys seen in 5 days? There's a documentary being released called I think it's called Between the Beats.
No,
I have seen it already.
How have you seen it already?
I saw a preview of it, I think.
You mean a trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer, yeah. But it's a documentary specifically San Francisco dance scene, rave scene in the
wow.
90s. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Does it have real footage?
Yeah, actual footage, interviews with Brian Bellendorf and
It
different
could be.
DJs, Garth, Yano.
Yeah, I remember it.
It'll be good. It's being released in 5 days onto the digital platforms, it says. I'm assuming Netflix or things like that, Amazon or whatever.
Pirate Bay.
Yeah, that'll be where I get it.
I can
I
remember
use a new
my
thing
old
now called
saying when I went to a
idle.
rave was, I said it says the beats aren't strong enough to hold me down between the beats. That was my thing. I used to say that a lot.
I remember you saying that.
Here it is, between the beats.
But Pollywog's on it. Remember Pollywog? She has a carry.
Well,
Yeah, I
that
saw
was
her in she's in the trailer, isn't she?
Pollywog was on the one called Groove.
I
Yeah,
mean,
It was
there,
a movie
there,
about the
there
San
have been
Francisco
other
rave called
things,
Groove.
but this one looks a bit like there's got more. I don't know. This one looks better, like
And at
more
the
yeah,
end of the Groove, at
that's
the
good.
end of the movie Groove, it showed a picture of the front door of the End Up, and everybody was in line queuing to go to the End Up. It's like 6 in the morning.
That's where you ended up.
We all end up at the End Up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The after party of all after parties.
yeah. I remember when Cindy Crawford showed up there early one morning. That was weird.
Wow.
Probably
Very
the
happy.
most famous person to ever go through there. I don't know.
The end up, yeah, it wasn't exactly high end, was it?
No,
It had a nice little garden area though. Remember that in the back?
that was the only place to hang out, and everyone
Yeah,
brought drums in, which was cool. I don't even know
yeah.
if you could let you bring drums in anymore, but yeah, that was always the thing.
But then also the Boogie Buffet at 10:15
Yeah,
Folsom
that
started. They started at like 6 in the they started after the end up.
yeah.
I've got a question about Between the Beats. What's the platform that it's going to be on? Is it going to be on like Amazon?
Yeah, that's what I was guessing at. Like it just says digital platforms or digital format, whatever. Yeah.
You remember Dub Tribe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know they did the soundtrack for the first Ocean's 11?
Really?
I thought that was probably kind of cool. You know, these little groups that I know a lot of people that I used to know, they end up becoming having fashion lines and things
Yeah.
like that. It's pretty amazing how it became this whole
Or
industry.
like they do music for commercials. Like there's a few. Remember Lorian in Mill Valley? He does music for commercials and everything now.
I bumped
Sean
into Dave
Penn.
Crosby one morning
Wow.
down in the square.
What was the name of that
Huey
bar?
Lewis,
What was the name of that bar where people get their start in music?
Stillwater.
Sweetwater.
Yeah,
Sweetwater,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Clearwater.
Sweetwater. It
Yeah.
closed down for a while, and then my friend told me a bunch of people got together and bought it back. So it's still open, I think. Still there.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah.
Well, there was that good band called Vinyl. They were purely instrumental, and their big claim to fame was they did the soundtrack for Orgasmo.
I remember them. Wow,
They
that's
were good.
bringing back memories. Yeah. Hey, where is Karen now? Any do you still keep in contact with
She's in
her?
Bolinas. What I heard from my friend, that's all about I know. I haven't talked to her since '98. She'll never go on the internet.
She'll never go in.
No, she's totally anti all that. But
Okay.
she was 3 months after I left in '98. She got the dream job. Ended up decorating houses for Sean Penn for like the next 3 years.
Wow.
So she was set after I left. You know, days of struggle were over. So
I wish I'd known about that. I would have helped her. Because I mean, I worked on a job with both of you when you were still together, but I did also work on at least one job with just her after had split apart.
So Craig, what's your experience at the Rainbow Gathering?
Well, we went to one together in Taos, New Mexico, and I think that
Yeah,
was
that's
in
right.
'95.
Yeah, something like that. And there was
And
another
then,
event happening in Arizona too. I forget, some kind of a gathering. I'm not
like
sure.
they used to have regional ones. They would have the big national one, but they would have regional ones. And I went to a regional one with you near Mount Shasta, either the same year or the next year.
Did you go to any of the Go Gill parties at Go Gill's place in the Sierra Nevadas?
No,
Go
I've never been
go
on
to
the
the Go
dance
Gill
floor
party when
where
you
the
were in
Goa Girls
Thailand?
been deep in.
I ever told you guys a story about the famous person I met at the last Rainbow Gathering I went to? It
Who was
was in 2000 Michigan during it was on the Panhandle of Michigan, and there was this really cute girl, young girl, and she had like another girl with her and a couple guys. Got talking to her near the main circle at night. Like, what's your name? She said Paris. Oh, I'm hi, man. We talked for like a half an hour and hung out, and she was giving me all the attention. Anyway, she wanted me to try to score some psychedelic mushrooms or something. And I went off and kind of forgot about it. And then a few months later, I saw her on a magazine cover. I'm like, wait a second, I know that girl. That was Paris Hilton just before she became famous. And I wasn't
Just
sure. I wasn't sure, but then she's come out with memoirs talking about the time she went to the Rainbow Gathering. So
it wouldn't surprise. I mean, that's cool. She went to Burning Man after she was famous. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's a cool girl. She seems really
Remember
level-headed and good.
Aaron,
Whoop,
you
yeah,
remember the Wyoming Rainbow Gathering where they had that big forest fire?
yeah, that's the first one we went to in '94.
Right. And
Yeah.
then from there, I think I went to Iowa with you, didn't I?
No, I was before that. Afterwards, we went back to San Francisco.
Right. And
That was
then we ran into Mike Nelson or whatever his name is.
no, Andy, your friend from.
No, that's yeah, my friend in Pennsylvania. I'm talking about Mike Nelson.
Is his name Nelson? The guy from Colorado?
I don't know whether it's Nelson, maybe it's different. Let's see. What was it?
The gay guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I don't remember being Nelson.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Funny guy.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
pissed off Rico. I tell you what. He was
What-
trying to help out by cleaning all the windows, and he used the scrub sponge, one of the green ones, Scotch Brite, to clean the windows and scratch the shit out of all of it.
I wonder what that house looks like now, Eagle Cliff. I wonder if they ever fixed up the underneath part.
Yeah, I got word that they did do a little bit of construction work on the underneath part. Does anybody know where Rico is? Does he still own the house?
Oh, he died a
Yeah,
while
he's
ago.
dead. Yeah.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Trudy was the wife or the ex-wife that lived there, right?
What's her name?
Yeah, Trudy.
That's
Trudy,
Judy,
the
yeah.
woman with the wigs.
The what?
She was always wearing a wig. Did you know that?
A wig.
Yeah, that wasn't her real hair.
She was a character. She was kind of like she really didn't approve of us being there. But then I
Yeah.
got talking to her one time, and she was nice underneath that exterior.
Yeah.
She was, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, why would anybody approve of John being there? Imagine having John if you're like a normal person and John moves in and there's like 10 different people there every day, just
Yeah.
smoking pot and being loud.
Oh, I know. I can't. It's unbelievable
Rico
to me.
didn't care. I could have anybody over there I wanted. It was like great.
No, I know. It was a blessing. I mean, that place changed us forever, you know.
Well, I
That
remember
was,
Matthew McIntosh, one of my former partners
used to live there.
in the Captain Software. Matthew McIntosh actually had a place up there where they were cleaning cocaine, and it was at Eagle Cliff.
Well, he came up and visited. He goes, "Oh my God, I used to live in this room." He goes, "That closet, that's where I stored all my weed." He had like pounds of weed. That was funny.
Matthew McIntosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's
haven't heard
one
from
of
him in
those
a long time.
characters that I think but by the time I met him, he was trying to seem really straight and clean and, you know.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a professional guy.
Yeah.
Well, he ran Captain Software.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that was a disaster, but yeah, not necessarily his fault. But you guys got so screwed. I think everyone was too high to be paying attention to what'd you call him? Eagle Beak?
Yeah, Eagle Beak. Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy with the baseball bat. And I really wanted to interview him as part of my story of how Captain Software got started and everything. Eagle Beak would get this big baseball bat, and he would threaten me with a baseball bat unless I drew some code.
Nice.
Yeah,
You used to talk about him as if he was a friend of yours
he
when
was
you
a friend
mentioned.
of mine.
Oh, he is a friend of yours.
Oh yeah.
He was a friend, but he went and started making the Easy Rider 2.0, 3.0, and it was crap.
That was Bill Baker.
Oh, that was Bill. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he scammed the copyright off of us. And then he went and did Easy Rider 2, which had nothing to do with us. And it got a really bad review, and it made bad sales for Easy Rider 1 because it was more stable.
Yeah, no, Easy Rider was a great. That was a Microsoft killer right there.
Well, the problem with that was I wanted to make one more revision to Easy Rider. Let me tell you a story about that. It's an interesting story. We wanted to have the disk operating system. Remember, Easy Rider was originally targeted for the Apple II, not an IBM PC. And Apple would not release the APIs for the getting read and data from the disk. That was still secret. But 2 years later, a book came out called Inside Apple DOS. Had that book come out, time I was working on Easy Rider, where I would have been using the Apple DOS for the thing. I had to write my own Apple DOS. So when I ported the Easy Rider over to the IBM, I ported the Apple DOS over too. But my next build was I was going to build the Easy Rider using the IBM DOS, so I could read and write IBM files.
MS DOS.
But IBM refused to let us push that one more update. He said, no, you got to do with what you got. A big argument with IBM. That's what killed it. That was the Easy Rider killer right there. Because the files that Easy Rider could read and write were special internal files. And you had to export the file over into a regular DOS file and do it. It was kind of annoying to work with. And I got gypped out of that opportunity. Because they were so bent on getting that out at a certain time. Because IBM pushed us beyond belief. I mean, it was crazy. Like when we first got the IBM PC, we had not known what the operating system was going to be. I had been working with Doug on the TEI mainframe, which was Patterson's DOS, called Seattle Computer DOS. Seattle Computer DOS sold their DOS to IBM. Then it became IBM DOS. But that was a godsend for us, because when we got our first IBM PC, we looked at the DOS and said, oh my God, that's identical to our Seattle Computer product DOS.
Handy.
I said, why don't we just port the EasyWriter binary code right over to the IBM PC? We did it, and it worked. It fucking worked. So we had Forth running on the IBM PC within 30 minutes of having the IBM PC in our hands. I couldn't believe it worked. I was screaming and yelling. Everybody thought I was going crazy. It worked. It worked. Oh my God. I had Forth running on an IBM PC within like 20 minutes of getting the thing. Because we got our IBM PC. We got the floppy. Had to keep the floppies in a safe. They're really, really secure. So it was the same DOS. So I had Forth running already on the Seattle Computer product machine. So I had the BinX for the Forth. So I just ported over the BinX file transfer program using the IBM modem, right over, directly using the serial port. And we got Forth.hx on the IBM PC. Then all we had to do was do BinX Forth, and it generated the Forth.hx into a Forth.com file. Forth.com file is executable of Forth. Then we typed in Forth. It came back and said, okay, what? It worked. Oh my God. So when the IBM PC came back, the next day they gave us this serial parallel card. So I used the parallel card to read and write the disk from the Corvus. So I built some logic around that would read and write the disk that would connect to that parallel card. So I was able to read and write data from that parallel card into the IBM PC. And that was when we were able to read and write data from the Corvus, which is a big 10 megabyte
A
system.
big 10 megabyte.
We had Corvus systems supplying, it was like our file server thing. We had these big giant ribbon cables connected to all the Macs in all the offices, because there was no such thing as a network back then. There was no network. There was no TCP/IP. There was no network at all. We used the Corvus Constellation as a ribbon cable. So I took the IBM PC card and plugged it into the ribbon cable for the Corvus. And I was able to read and write data from the Corvus hardware, really low level stuff. And I got it working overnight. The next day, I got the EasyWriter editor working on the IBM PC. By that time, the Boca Raton people were just then leaving, going back to Boca Raton. I brought them down to the lab we were working on and told them that we just got Forth running on your. Actually, what I did, I said, do you remember when we talked about when I was going to get Forth running on the IBM PC? The guy with a worried look says, yeah, what about it? He says, I lied. What do you mean you lied? I said, it's already running on the IBM PC. Come over to the office and I'll show you. Once they saw that running on the IBM PC, they freaked out. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to make of it. Then when they found out that I was gutting their parallel card, they took the parallel card away from us because we wanted to use that parallel card to develop it on EasyWriter for the thing. So what we had to do was we had to tie up an Apple II using the serial card of the Apple II, read and write blocks in 1024-byte serial chunks. Really slow to compile. It took forever.
Why did they take the card off you if it was going to benefit them?
Because they're douchebags, man. They're fucking corporate weenies. I don't know why.
Maybe they were trying to do their own system and it just torpedoed it.
Well, they brought their engineer out the next day and they wanted to know what it did to modify the card.
That should have been your ticket to, you know,
you should be
never having to work again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that just bootstrapped us into beating Bill Gates to getting EasyWriter and beating out Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
See, I feel like there's revisionist history on all this now. Like if you look up this stuff, it's
You won't
very
find
hard to
anything
find
at all
any.
about EasyWriter now. If you Google it, you won't find anything at all about EasyWriter. You'll find another EasyWriter, but you won't find my EasyWriter.
Yeah, and you won't find any story about the, you know, other than your personal pages or the
That's
book
why
or
I'm
whatever.
that's why I'm really putting my website together, because I'm also got my book, and we got to get Beyond the Little Blue Box Part 2 done.
Oh, yeah, I have it up on Amazon now. It's working on Amazon now, so people can buy it on Amazon now.
Well, that's cool.
I'm going to write Part 2 myself.
What's part 2 going to be?
What I don't have in Part 1.
All the detail. I mean, you probably could write a really technical version.
There's so much in my story right now that book is just covering maybe 1/3 of my story.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to, when I wrote it, I was trying to, you know, take what
I don't
learn
know
how
whether it's mentioned in the book or
done
not,
and
but
make it entertaining. It
yeah.
needed to be entertaining, you know.
Oh, did I mention in the book, in my book, that I had was standing on the Berlin Wall waving at the CNN cameras during the breakup of Germany?
I don't think you wrote that in anything you gave me.
Yeah, well, I
Was,
wanted to put that in there. That's a very interesting story in itself.
was
I mean,
CNN even
I feel
around
like
then?
Okay, I was in Berlin during Christmas and New Year's holiday. I was living with Guido. Guido had a party beer bash thing. He was going out drinking beer and all that stuff. So I took a subway down to the Berlin Wall where all the action was, and there was big parties down there. People were standing on the wall, yelling and screaming, and then the CNN cameras were down there too, taking pictures of the big event. I was standing on the wall waving at the CNN cameras. Then the day after the New Year's Eve party, I stayed there. I dropped on the East German side. I stayed with this East German conscript guy overnight. And then he brought me around East Germany for a while and visited those guys. And then after a while, when Germany became unified, things started really, really going crazy in Germany at the time. The country code for East Germany was 037. Had to change the country code to 049. See, when I was working for Guido in Berlin, the nice thing about Berlin was they have all three TV standards there. They had CCAM from East Germany, they had PAL from West Germany, they had NTSC from the American Voices Network TV. All three TV standards was within picking up off the air. It was the ideal place to be when you're developing a board that works on all three standards. That was why I went to Berlin and I worked there for like almost 6 months.
Was that during the Shop IP days, or was that way
I
before
was
that?
bored. Anyway, during that time, when the walls started coming down, when they were releasing the Eastern people into the West Germany people in Kurfürstendammstrasse, which is the main street where you go down, you can buy your Sony stuff, all big, glitter and gleam of the Western technology stuff. People in East Germany were drooling over that. They couldn't go there. It was being blocked. Once the wall opened up, people were driving their Trabants down there. Big headache for traffic.
Travan, like that cardboard car or something.
Yeah. So Guido called me up and said, listen to TV. Guido was helping me translate because I didn't know that much German. East German premier made an announcement on TV. Was being interviewed by Western journalists. When are you going to open up the wall? And the guy that got interviewed says, oh, the wall's opened up now. But really what he should have said was that if you wanted to go over to West Germany, you had to fill out some forms and get some paperwork filled out. But they mistook that. All of a sudden, thousands and thousands of people were swarming the border trying to get over into West Berlin and the East German guard says, let them in. Just fucking let them in. That's when the complete floodgate opened up. Everybody.
Wait, you were there?
I was there during that time the TV
Okay,
broadcast.
now that should be in the book. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely
I mean,
the movie.
There was no East German government. West German government was totally swamped. They didn't know what the hell to do. They closed down the East German government totally. So me and some West German friends and one East German friend, we go into the Stasi headquarters. It was unlocked. We walk in, Stasi headquarters open. It was crazy. Everything was there. All their spy equipment was there. They had these little jars of odors that the German Stasi people were taking pictures of odors of people so they can keep track of everyone by their odors.
Give it to a dog, have it track them.
You'll find a few documentaries about that. Okay, so we're gonna talk one more thing about Potsdam, Germany. I was with Guido. Actually, he has an East German friend. We were over there in the Potsdam Dam area. And there was this Russian tank, and this Russian tank got stuck in the mud, and they're trying to get it out. It was funny. But while we were there in Potsdam, I went over to a Soviet military base. I walked in as if I owned it. Walked right into the command headquarters and says, "Hi, just come by and say hi." The Russian people looked at me with this very quizzical look on their face. They couldn't touch me. Then at the Alexanderplatz, I met this Russian guy in this cloak. He opens up this cloak, and there are 4 AK-47s. He says, 15 Deutschmarks, an AK-47. The Russians got stuck over there in Berlin. They couldn't afford to go back to Mother Russia. So what they were doing is they were hawking all their medals in Alexanderplatz. So you find all these Russian expatriates there selling their uniforms and doing everything to make as much money as they can to get back to Russia. Anyway, that's about it for that particular phase of the story.